Just before their earnings this morning, Chris, Target said earlier this week that it plans to cut prices on over 5,000 items. According to Retail Dive, Target plans to cut prices on 5,000 popular items across its assortment and has already reduced the prices of 1,500 items, with more reductions planned to continue throughout the summer. The price cuts will be centered on non-discretionary grocery, household, and health and beauty items. Jeremy, first timer, we're going to go to you first on this one. We have to ask you, would you have advised Target to make this move? And more importantly, what do you think it signals?
Yeah, so obviously a doozy of a headline, and I would say that they have to do it. I mean, we
Yep.
are in a inflationary environment. Retailers everywhere are dropping prices. They're seeing increased competition from Walmart and Aldi and others.
Mm-hmm.
They need to protect market share, and they need to make sure their customers don't get in the habit of shopping elsewhere. Um, Also, just looking at A&M's most recent consumer sentiment survey, we saw that the biggest decline in willingness to spend was actually in the higher income households. This is really
Right.
starting to, hit their core customer. Um, and obviously, with the news today, their stock is down, so I think they need to take action.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, this signals that price competitiveness on food and household essentials is table stakes right now, even for the more affluent customers that they serve. Um, I'll say two things about this. On the positive side, I
Mm-hmm.
think they were at least coming from a position of strength, maybe less so after kind of the stock performance today, but they do have 2 billion more of operating income from last year than they did the year before, and they had a great Q4, so they were in a good place to are in a good place to invest in pricing. Um, but I look at this announcement, I look at the recent launch of their value-driven, deal-worthy brand,
Mm-hmm.
and both moves are built to compete on price. And I think that makes sense given where the economy is. But at the same time, they can't just be about price. They still need to be Target and deliver that elevated experience where it makes sense. So sure, drive traffic and loyalty with competitiveness on these sort of items, bring people in the
Yep.
door. Um, but they still need to differentiate an assortment experience in other areas, those higher end, more style driven, kind of often impulse items and categories. Otherwise, it's just a race to the bottom.
Yeah, we're seeing, you're so right, Jeremy. Like, I mean, the amount of discounts and promotion of those discounts from McDonald's to Aldi to Wendy's. I mean, everybody is marking stuff down, especially for this summer, at least, or this temporary time period. Chris, you were
Yeah,
nodding along.
I'm
What are your
chomping at the bit
thoughts?
on this
Yeah,
one,
I
Ann.
know. I can
I,
imagine. What do
I
you have
mean,
to say?
the other part of this question too, or this headline is, will it matter? Will it even make a difference? And I would actually resolutely say no.
Really?
And yeah, I actually think this is a nothing announcement. This is like one of the biggest nothing announcements I've seen in a while. It's pure PR window dressing, and it goes back to the whole honesty is not synonymous with truth, and which is a
Hmm.
continuing motif on this show. And the
Okay.
reason I say that is all of Target's key items in the grocery essentials, whatever categories, household categories that they're doing this in, they're all comp shopped against Walmart already. And so what's likely happening here is Target is just taking early credit for pricing action that they know they're going to do. And the tell for that in the story for me is that they've done it on 1,500 items already, but the rest of the items are going to come during the course of the summer. If you're going to be aggressive, just do it. Like, why would you wait? So like that tells me that they're just trying to get PR credit and trying to position themselves in the media as being a low priced alternative that people can shop. But at the end of the day, it's not going to move the needle because people still have this perception of Target, and that perception of Target is quite warranted as well because of the Target brand that it has. And so it's a slippery slope to go too far into this, which is why I think they're just taking credit for the price reductions that they already have planned or that they consistently do year over year. Target did this too when I was there back in 2008, 2009. That's the last time I remember them doing this during the housing crisis. Similar thing, and the approach was very similar back then too. So I think this is a big nothing. I don't think it'll move the needle at all. And it just goes back to the point again. Target has a growth problem. Let's just say that very overtly right here on this podcast. They need to find growth. And again, I mean, we said too, like, wasn't it 2 weeks ago, Ann, where we were talking about the wholesale brands? Like, we thought
Mhm.
that was something they were trying to do to gin up the media on their growth, which who knows how much is there, but in advance of what was likely a poor earnings call, as it turned out to be this morning.
So would you be advising against this move?
No, I think it's
Okay.
fine. I'd be doing
Yeah.
it. I'd be
Yeah.
doing it, but it's not, it's again, it's like kind of similar thing, like with the whole wholesaling strategy. Like, yeah, it's cool. It sounds good, but really you're not going to get that much from these efforts. You got to figure out something new. And Walmart is kicking their butt when it comes to developing honest to God $1 billion growth strategies.
Well, I think there's two separate
Rant
things
over,
here.
I guess.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, I think your points alone on growth strategy and whether or not this was a good move, I think are not cannot be like
Right.
linked inextricably. I think like there is still, I would advise towards this move. You had to, like Jeremy was saying, you had to do something when Walmart,
Yeah.
when Aldi, already a discounted grocer, are coming out saying that they're going to slash prices on, 20% of their SKUs this summer. Like if Target wants to remain this one-stop shop that they will, that people are going for the Target, like you do have to put something out there in the media that draws customers in the door. So I think like I don't know. I think Target did a good job on this. Like, yes, PR moves, you should be taking advantage of this. What's wrong with that? Like if that's what gets people in the door, that's what gets people in the door. So I think like I would definitely would advise towards doing this if I was Target. And I think it's going to be interesting to see like where these prices remain when we get to the end of the summer. Like, is this adjustment from inflationary pricing and they're just dropping the prices for the summer? And then what happens, when all these summer pricing comes to an end? Will Target's summer pricing come to an end? Like, where does all of this net out and what does that mean for the shopper? But Truett, we're going to go to you for the last word.
I think it's well captured. The only kind of punctuation I think I'd put on this is that ultimately all of this pricing action is good for consumers. And recent Fed consumer sentiment, everyone's feeling the pinch. In particular, parents are feeling the pinch, and so it is. It's creating financial stress. Although consumers are still spending, there is just a concern on the economy in terms of how long this can continue. So I think the fact that you are seeing some, deflation in certain key items is I think a healthy thing for consumers. And I think, at some point the inflation that we've seen the past 4 years had to reset, and hopefully we're seeing a little bit of that at this point.
Excellent. Way to tie it all in a bow, Truett. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing about this too, Ann, real quick, is like Walmart always leads on price, And so, and that's generally the position Target's going to take. And if Target doesn't do that and starts being more aggressive than Walmart on price, then whoa, we got a real big story here. And I'm dubious that that's what they're doing here. So